evening again, everyone. I'm always amazed at how much power there is, even online, on when we meditate together. It's really amazing when a small group of souls comes together and does spiritual things. Quite amazing. So I'm going to speak just a little bit. You know, I just came out of seclusion. I was up in the Himalayas, a small place called Kutar, which is near Kasoli. I think most people know, or many people may know of Kasoli up north from Delhi in the Himalayas. But Kutar was even more quiet, more remote, and I was able to be very quiet. And I found, to some extent, a place within myself that really is perfect. And that's really hard to imagine, because everything we've ever found in this world that claims to be perfect, if you look at it deeply enough, you'll always find there's something wrong with it. But that's when we are looking at things in duality in this world. But if we will look within ourselves, that there is a space, a place within each one that is perfect. And I'm just amazed by this space, because it's always there, and that I continually try to attune myself to that space, to go into that space and see how it can help fix whatever thoughts that I'm having, or how it can guide me on what is the next thing to do, or how I can guide my kriyas from that space by trying to go in deeper and deeper into that calm inner space that we all have, that again literally is perfect. And we all have this space within us, but we're not used to attuning ourselves to that space. But really the purpose of life is for us to be able to live in that space continuously, and to be able to radiate out peace, joy, love, comfort that so many need in these days, kindness, compassion, to be able to radiate out that to other God-thirsty souls. This really is the purpose of life. One of my favorite books, I have many, of Swamiji's is The Time Tunnel. And in that, Diogenes, there's a character, and they visit Diogenes, who was a Greek philosopher long ago. And they ask him, basically, I'm very much paraphrasing here, but they ask him, if there's great suffering in the world, what can I do so that I myself don't personally suffer? And Diogenes says, that's a very good question. It strikes at the heart, the root of all human misery. And he says the answer is that you must realize that you are not yourself. And this becomes something very interesting to contemplate. Well, if I'm not myself, who am I? Of course, there have been great masters who their entire spiritual path, more or less, is just to keep asking ourselves, who am I? But we all know the answer philosophically. And this is a good start intellectually to start to think about this. But then we need to go deep within that center that I'm explaining here, within our own selves, and experience who we truly are. We need to experience that perfection. This whole universe, think of how many atoms just this planet and all the people on it are made out of. It's a mind-boggling number. And yet think how each atom is spinning just exactly how it's supposed to, just exactly in the way that it's supposed to. Often I think about the sun and the clouds, and that if you go outside on a very, very sunny day, that we can only handle it for so long. And yet there's so many things outside, like plants and trees, that they can't move. And yet there is an energy that knows, okay, it's time to bring a cloud for this particular plant so that it doesn't get too much sun, or that it's time to bring rain now. Or if it's been really cold and raining, that it's time to bring the sun now. Imagine there's some consciousness that understands what each plant on the entire planet needs. And we have this same, it's that consciousness isn't separate from us. It's not like God's over there and all I need to do is go further over there and then I'll find him. That God is center everywhere, circumference nowhere. That all we need to do is go deeper within our own selves. Sometimes I try too hard in meditation. And sometimes when we have these little short meditations and I just relax into it knowing that it's going to be short, that sometimes they're so deep. You know, Master said that we could go breathless just with the technique Hong Sa. Just by sitting and just calmly, just watch, just watch. Back to Diogenes, so he said in that chapter, he said, what you have to do is realize that you're not yourself. And then he goes on to say that he knows that within his own self, there's a part that can never be altered, never be damaged, never be changed, never be destroyed. It's comforting to me to know that there's a part within myself, that there's a part within all human beings, each human being, that can actually never be hurt. Because obviously we live in a world where there's a lot of pain and suffering. People are hurting all the time. But that we can go within and find that space where absolutely nothing can hurt us. When I was in seclusion, and I recommend this, I read the Gita again and again. Chapter 5, Shloka 22, up until 6:30. Sometimes I would just read Krishna's words. Sometimes I would read Swamiji's commentary as well, or any mixture of the two. But it basically was, okay, so now I've gone into seclusion. Now what do I do? That if you take those particular shlokas into a seclusion, be it for one day or a few weeks or whatever, it just tells you exactly what you should do. Starting with in 522, that no one of any understanding would seek pleasure through the five senses. They have a beginning and an end, and they spring from outside of the self, and therefore they only bring misery. You know, it's said that in some ashrams, the guru tells you, read this shloka, then you meditate on it for an hour, then you read it again, then you meditate on it for an hour. I meditated on that 522 for days and days, thinking that, I'd be eating food and just really enjoying it, and thinking, now wait a minute, no one of any understanding would seek pleasure through this, through the five senses. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, but I'm enjoying this. It tastes good. Am I someone of absolutely no understanding? And I would contemplate and I would think and I would realize that yes, it's good, but that goodness springs again from within this calm centered place, that it's just a reflection of that actually. And that actually all of this is just one big gigantic mirror. Wind on a hill sounds lonely if you're sad, free if you're free, cheerful if you're glad. That's a song of Swamiji's. The song's Come Gather Round. That it's all just a reflection out there, of what's really going on in here, and that we can learn to control the heart's feelings, and that we can learn to be calm, be peaceful, be uplifted, absolutely no matter what's going on. We're all being tested right now. Our religion, our spirituality is being tested in the cold light of day to see, can we still be a giver? Swamiji would People would ask him, how do I know if someone's spiritual? The center leaders would come and say, how do I know if this person should join us? And one of Swamiji's criteria was, everybody goes through hard times. So watch that person. When that person is going through a hard time, does he think of, oh, only myself? Oh, leave me alone, I'm going through my hard time. Or does he think of other people and seeing what he can give to those other people, even though he himself is having a hard time? I think that's very important for all of us to think about during hard times. What can we give? And just let Divine Mother take care of you. She's brought us this far. She hasn't brought us this far just to dump us into a world of misery and hurt. And even if the world itself out there does go through pain and suffering, that we on the inside, we don't have to. That it comes with realization. It's not enough just to mentally think, who am I? That we have to realize that this little ego, this little body, that it's just absolutely just not that important. That it's not more important than the tree over there. It's hard to think about because it seems like, but well, then would I be irresponsible if I don't take care of this? And you have to take care of the body. Swami Kriyananda used to say, Swami Kriyananda is an event that I am responsible for. So he was responsible, but he wasn't that body. But he was something so much more. It's what makes finding God hard. It's that actually within yourself is something so unbelievably big, unbelievably powerful, unbelievably joyful, that we just doubt it. We deny it. We just think, no, not me. Maybe that guy over there, maybe he's a saint, and he might know something about God, but not me. And it's right. Yeah, not you, the ego, not you, that body, but that quiet space within yourself. Pay attention to that space, right? Where you're not really asleep, where you're not really awake. There's a space there that's right in between. I mean, that's the whole spiritual path, these words, right in between. Right in between the incoming breath and the outgoing breath. That, or even vice versa, right in between the outgoing breath and the incoming breath. There's this space of peace, calmness. It's so peaceful, it's somewhat overwhelming. You go deep enough within, everything becomes so beautiful. Absolutely just overwhelmingly beautiful, everything. Because there's this beautiful consciousness that's put the whole thing together. And every saint that becomes a saint and finds God, not one of them says, well, yeah, finding God it's all right, and that life's okay, there's some good, there's some bad. No, enthusiastically they say, it's great. The whole thing is great and wonderful, and thank you, God, for absolutely every single experience that you have given me throughout all time. That they have gratitude for the difficult times, because it takes us away from this crazy delusion that this physical world is all there is, and that all we can have is that little bit of fun, little bit of joy. I was eating some sweets last night, and there's a little bit of a cavity, they think, still there. And it's a mixed bag that you get these pleasure things, and yet there's that pain in it. And we go far enough in some wrong direction, and there's a lot of pain in it. And yet it always changes back and forth. Yet there's always that centered place in between the change, the ups and the downs. That's another part of the spiritual path I struggle with a little bit. And that's that God, he's not this great emotional joy that sometimes we get all whipped up and excited. I'm so joyful. This is so great. God gave me this. God gave me that. Can you feel it? It's so wonderful. And yet, if there's that emotional happiness, that emotional high, it's going to crash. And another song of Swami's, lifetimes I've called out to you through hope and despair. And we can get this emotional hope whipped up, but it's not the essence of who we are. We can get this emotional joy whipped up, but it's not who we are. The true joy, it's so quiet. It's just there behind the fringe of our mind, actually, behind the restless heart, behind the restless emotions. We also were afraid to calm down our heart and our emotions. We think that I wouldn't be able to feel anything. But it's not like that. There's a truer feeling that comes when we calm down the heart's feeling. And I'll end by speaking about this. The essence of finding this calm, centered space within your own self, the essence of it is finding a higher consciousness. But consciousness itself, the essence of that is feeling. And again, back to the book, The Time Tunnel, Swami asks in that, is a sense of calm feeling or is a sense of calm reason more important? And he answers that in reason one watches, calm reason, where the mind's calm, but there's no joy in it. In a calm sense of feeling, the essence of a calm sense of feeling, with that deep feeling, that the essence of it is bliss. And together, calm reason and calm feeling give wisdom. But that what we're really looking for is a calm sense of feeling, that deep, deep, calm feeling. And as we go deeper into that, it's absolute joy. So, absolute joy. It's who you are. Don't forget it. Don't forget it no matter what happens. You are absolute bliss. Live in that space. Give that joy and peace to others. So